Welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy the story of what if Deku had elemental powers. Part 1. My Hero Academia, Elemental Hero Deku. Chapter 2. A Power Without Limits. The years after Izuku discovered his quirk were anything but normal. Most children only had to learn how to control one ability. Izuku had 6. Every morning seemed to bring a new disaster. One day he accidentally froze every window in the apartment. The next day, he caused flower pots to levitate around the living room. A week later, he sneezed and launched a gust of wind powerful enough to knock over the dining room table. Inko often found herself cleaning up after elemental accidents. Still, she never stopped smiling. Because unlike the future she once feared for her son, Izuku had been blessed with a quirk. Not just any quirk, a remarkable one. At age 7, Izuku began formal quirk training. A government specialist was assigned to help him understand the fundamentals. The trainer's name was Hiro Tanaka, a retired psychic hero. On their first day together, Hiro knelt in front of Izuku. Power is easy. Izuku blinked. It is. Hiro shook his head. No. He smiled. Control is easy. The boy looked confused. The hero pointed toward a massive oak tree. Destroying something takes almost no skill. Then he handed Izuku a small flower. Protecting something while using your power takes mastery. The lesson stayed with him forever. For months, Hiro focused only on control. No combat. No flashy attacks. No heroics. Only precision. Move this pebble. Izuku used earth manipulation. The pebble exploded. Again. The second attempt shattered a nearby fence. Again. The third launched into the sky. Weeks passed. Months passed. Eventually, the pebble floated perfectly. Not shaking. Not wobbling. Perfect. Hiro smiled proudly. Now you're learning. By age 8, Izuku could reliably control all 6 primary elements. Fire, water, earth, air, lightning, ice. But there was a problem. Using multiple elements together exhausted him quickly. His body wasn't strong enough yet. The more power he used, the more fatigue built up. It was as though his quirk demanded energy from every muscle in his body. After intense training sessions, he could barely stand. Yet he never complained. Not once. Because every day he remembered a single image. The image of a smiling hero. The image of All Might. Chapter 3. Rivalry. Bakugo hated losing. And lately, he was losing a lot. The playground battles that once ended with Bakugo standing victorious now became increasingly difficult. Izuku wasn't stronger physically, but his quirk was absurd. One moment, he would create a wall of stone. The next, he would launch himself with powerful gusts of wind. Then he would freeze the ground beneath Bakugo's feet. Every fight felt different. Every fight felt unpredictable. Every fight felt unfair. At least from Bakugo's perspective. The rivalry grew. Years passed. Both boys became stronger. Bakugo's explosions became more powerful. Izuku's elemental control became more refined. Neither admitted it aloud. But each pushed the other forward. Every victory made the loser train harder. Every defeat became motivation. The competition never ended. One afternoon after school, Bakugo approached Izuku. Fight me. Izuku sighed. We fought yesterday. And we fought 3 times yesterday. Bakugo grinned. Then let's make it 4. Izuku laughed. You're impossible. Shut up and fight. The battle lasted nearly 20 minutes. Longer than any of their previous matches. Explosions lit the air. Stone barriers rose from the ground. Wind blasts collided with shock waves. Fire met explosions. Neither backed down. Neither surrendered. When the dust finally settled, both boys collapsed onto the grass. Exhausted, breathing heavily, Bakugo stared at the sky. You better not get weak. Izuku smiled. I could say the same thing. For a brief moment, they sounded more like friends than rivals. Chapter 4. The Storm Incident. When Izuku turned 10, something changed. His powers evolved. It happened during training. A thunderstorm rolled across Mizudafu. Dark clouds covered the sky. Rain poured relentlessly. Hiro and Izuku were practicing lightning control. Normally Izuku could summon small bolts. Nothing major. Nothing dangerous. But something felt different that day. The storm responded to him. Izuku. Hiro's eyes widened. Stop. The boy looked up. The clouds were moving. Not naturally. They were circling above him. Rotating. Growing darker. Growing larger. Lightning flashed across the heavens. The air vibrated. Trees bent under powerful winds. Rain spiraled around him. The storm wasn't random. It was obeying him. Izuku, the boy snapped back to reality. The storm immediately calmed. The clouds dispersed. The winds vanished. Silence returned. Hiro looked pale. What happened? Izuku shook his head. I don't know. But deep inside, he had a feeling. His quirk wasn't just controlling individual elements anymore. It was beginning to combine them. That realization terrified him and excited him. Chapter 5. The Symbol of Peace. Age 14. The day everything changed. Izuku was walking home from middle school when he heard screaming. People ran through the streets. Store owners slammed doors shut. Citizens fled. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Then he saw it. A massive sludge creature. Its body twisted through the street like a living nightmare. Heroes were struggling to contain it. Civilians were trapped nearby. Panic spread everywhere. Without thinking, Izuku acted. A wall of earth erupted between the villain and a group of fleeing civilians. The sludge monster slammed into it. The barrier cracked, but held. What idiot did that? A hero shouted. Then they spotted him. A teenager. Standing alone. Hands raised. Controlling several tons of stone. The sludge villain laughed. Another victim. The creature lunged. Izuku reacted instantly. A torrent of water erupted from a nearby fountain. The liquid wrapped around the villain. Freezing solid. The creature became trapped inside a giant block of ice. For exactly 2 seconds. Then it shattered. The villain burst free. Stronger. Angrier. Kid. A hero shouted. Run. Izuku didn't. He couldn't. People were still trapped. The sludge monster charged. A massive hand reached toward him. Suddenly. Boom. A shockwave ripped through the air. Wind exploded outward. The ground cracked. Everyone turned. A massive figure landed between Izuku and the villain. A cape fluttered. Golden hair rose toward the sky. A smile radiated confidence. I am here. All Might. The symbol of peace. Izuku's eyes widened. For years he had watched videos. Collected notebooks. Studied every rescue. Every battle. Every heroic act. And now, his hero stood directly before him. All Might glanced back. His eyes met Izuku's. For a brief second he saw something. Potential. Courage. Power. Then All Might smiled. Young man. The hero pointed toward the trapped civilians. Excellent work. Izuku froze. All Might had praised him. Personally, the villain never stood a chance. Within moments, All Might defeated the sludge creature. The crowd erupted into cheers. Heroes rushed forward. Reporters appeared from nowhere. The crisis was over. But for Izuku, a new journey was only beginning. Because as All Might walked away, the symbol of peace looked back one last time and quietly wondered something. Could that boy become the next great hero? Chapter 6. A Meeting with All Might. The day after the sludge villain incident, Izuku couldn't focus on anything. Not school, not homework, not even hero analysis. His mind kept replaying the same moment. All Might had praised him. The symbol of peace had looked him in the eyes and called his actions heroic. Just remembering it made his heart race. School ended. Izuku walked home through a quiet alley. Then a familiar voice echoed from above. Young Midoriya. Izuku froze. His eyes shot upward. Standing atop a nearby building was none other than All Might. All Might. The hero jumped down with impossible grace. Indeed, Izuku nearly fainted. The two sat on a nearby rooftop overlooking Mizutofu. The city stretched endlessly beneath them. For several moments, neither spoke. Finally, All Might broke the silence. You have a remarkable quirk. Izuku blushed. Thank you, sir. I've reviewed reports about your elemental dominion. Izuku's eyes widened. You know about it? All Might nodded. Several hero agencies do. The hero crossed his arms. Controlling 6 primary elements at your age is extraordinary. Izuku expected praise. Instead, All Might's expression became serious. That power could also become dangerous. The words hit harder than any punch. You possess enough raw potential to affect entire city blocks. All Might continued. Perhaps more. The hero pointed toward the horizon. The question isn't whether you can become powerful. He looked directly at Izuku. The question is whether you'll have the wisdom to use that power. Izuku sat silently. Every word felt important. Every sentence carried weight. After several minutes, All Might smiled. But from what I witnessed during the sludge attack, the hero's grin widened. I think you're on the right path. For the first time in his life, Izuku felt like a professional hero was taking him seriously. Not as a kid, not as a fan, but as a future hero. Chapter 7. New Techniques. The UA entrance exam was only months away. Izuku doubled his training, then tripled it, then somehow trained even harder. His mornings began before sunrise. Running, strength training, combat drills, element control exercises. He pushed himself constantly. One evening, Hiro watched from the sidelines. Izuku stood inside a training field. Sweat dripped from his face. His breathing was ragged. Again, the boy nodded. A sphere of water formed around him. Wind began circling. Electricity crackled throughout the vortex. The ground trembled. Small rocks rose into the spinning current. The elements merged. Not perfectly, but close. A miniature storm surrounded him. Hiro's eyes widened. That's it. Izuku grinned. It's working. Then everything exploded. Water blasted outward. Wind scattered debris everywhere. Mud covered half the training field. Lightning struck a nearby target dummy. Izuku fell flat on his face. Hiro sighed. Still needs work. But despite the failure, something important had happened. For the first time, Izuku had successfully merged multiple elements together. A new technique was born. Elemental Cyclone. Chapter 8. The Shadow Watching from Afar. Unknown to Izuku, someone had taken interest in him. Deep beneath Mizutofu, hidden inside an abandoned industrial complex, several figures gathered. Monitors covered the walls. Surveillance footage played continuously. Hero reports, news broadcasts, quirk analysis, everything. One screen displayed a familiar green-haired teenager. Izuku Midoriya. A tall man studied the footage. His silver eyes reflected the screen's glow. So this is the boy. Another figure nodded. The one capable of controlling multiple elements. The silver-eyed man smiled. A dangerous smile. Interesting. The footage showed Izuku creating fire, then water, then lightning, then ice. The man leaned forward. Nature itself obeys him. One of the others spoke. Should we eliminate him? The silver-eyed man shook his head. No. His smile widened. I want to see how far he can grow. None of them knew it yet. But this mysterious villain would eventually become one of the greatest threats Japan had ever faced. His name was Tempest, and he possessed a quirk connected to the elements as well. Chapter 9. Katsuki Bakugo's Determination. Bakugo had noticed something. Izuku was changing. The timid boy from childhood was disappearing. Not completely. He was still kind, still awkward, still a massive hero nerd. But now there was confidence beneath it all. Bakugo hated admitting it. But Deku was becoming stronger. Much stronger. One afternoon, they met at a public training ground. Fight me. Izuku laughed. Why do you always start conversations like that? Because talking is boring. Seconds later, the battle began. Boom. Explosions erupted across the field. Earth walls rose from the ground. Wind blasts tore through the air. Fire collided with explosions. Neither gave an inch. For nearly 30 minutes they fought. When it ended, both were exhausted. Bakugo stared at him. Deku. What? Don't lose. Izuku blinked. Bakugo looked away. If someone is going to beat me. His grin returned. It better be someone worth beating. For Bakugo, that was practically a compliment. Chapter 10. The UA Entrance Exam. The day finally arrived. Thousands of students gathered outside the gates of the legendary Hero Academy. UA High School. Izuku stared at the massive campus. His heart pounded. This was it. Years of training. Years of dreaming. Years of hard work. Everything led to this moment. Students crowded the entrance. Some looked nervous. Others looked confident. A few looked terrifying. Bakugo stood nearby, arms crossed, scowling at everyone. Try not to embarrass yourself, Deku. Izuku smiled. You too. Bakugo nearly exploded from irritation. Inside the testing arena, an instructor stepped forward. Present Mike. Listen up, future heroes. The room immediately quieted. The practical exam was simple. Destroy robot villains. Earn points. The students with the highest scores would pass. The moment the starting buzzer sounded, chaos erupted. Chapter 11. Elemental Cyclone. Students rushed into the city-sized testing zone. Robots appeared everywhere. Most applicants attacked individually. Izuku moved differently. He analyzed, observed, adapted. A three-point robot charged. Earth surged upward. A stone pillar launched the machine into the air. A gust of wind accelerated it further. Lightning struck. The robot exploded. 3 points. Another machine appeared. Then another. Then 5 more. Izuku inhaled deeply. Let's try it. Energy surged through his body. Water spiraled around him. Wind followed. Lightning crackled. Earth fragments lifted from the street. The elements merged. Elemental cyclone. A massive storm erupted around him. The rotating vortex smashed through multiple robots simultaneously. Metal scattered everywhere. Sparks exploded. Machines collapsed. Students nearby stopped and stared. What was that? Even proctors watching through cameras looked shocked. The attack had destroyed an entire cluster of robots. Dozens of points. But Izuku nearly collapsed afterward. His stamina wasn't ready. Not yet. Still, the technique worked. And everyone noticed, including the teachers. Chapter 12, Zero Pointer. Then disaster struck. The ground shook. Buildings trembled. Students froze. A gigantic shadow rose above the city. The Zero Pointer. The largest robot in the entire exam. Everyone ran. Most students knew attacking it was pointless. Survival became the priority. Then Izuku heard a scream. A girl with brown hair was trapped beneath rubble. Achiko Uraraka, the giant robot, approached. Its footsteps shook the streets. Time was running out. Izuku looked around. Every instinct told him to retreat. But he remembered All Might's words. A hero saves people, no matter the danger. Izuku sprinted forward, directly toward the massive machine. Wind exploded beneath his feet. Fire erupted behind him. Earth launched him skyward. Higher, 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 until he reached the robot's head. Electricity surged through both hands. Every ounce of power he possessed gathered into one attack. The sky darkened. Clouds formed above. Lightning crackled. The air itself seemed to tremble. Then Izuku roared. Thunder God strike. A colossal bolt of lightning descended from the heavens. Boom! The entire testing zone lit up. The Zero Pointer froze. Cracks spread through its armor. Then the giant machine collapsed. The city shook as it hit the ground. Silence followed. Every student stared. Every teacher stared. Nobody could believe what they had witnessed. The strongest robot in the exam had been destroyed. By one student. And then, Izuku Midoriya finally passed out from exhaustion. Chapter 13, The Letter. 3 days after the entrance exam, Izuku could barely sit still. Every hour felt like an eternity. Every notification on his phone made his heart jump. Every knock at the door sent him running. The waiting was torture. Then it finally arrived. A package from Yue. Izuku. Inko burst into his room holding the envelope. Her hands were shaking. So am I. Izuku practically launched himself across the room. Together, they opened it. A small projector rolled out. A hologram flickered to life. And suddenly, a familiar booming voice filled the room. I am here. All Might appeared. Izuku froze. All Might. The hero smiled. Young Midoriya. The hologram displayed exam statistics. Robot points. Rescue points. Overall ranking. Izuku stared. Robot points, 71. Rescue points, 60. Total, 131. His jaw dropped. Then All Might laughed. Congratulations. A golden banner exploded across the screen. Welcome to UA High School. Izuku's eyes filled with tears. He had done it. The dream he'd chased his entire life was finally real. Chapter 14, Class 1A. The first day arrived quickly. Standing before the gates of UA, Izuku felt both excited and terrified. The campus looked even bigger than he remembered. Students streamed through the entrance. Some chatting, some nervous, some clearly trying to look cool. Izuku eventually found his classroom. Room 1A. He slid the door open. Inside sat many of the future heroes of Japan. Tenya Ida was already organizing his notes. Achiko Uraraka waved excitedly. Shoto Todoroki sat quietly by the window. And of course, Katsuki Bakugo looked annoyed simply by existing. Deku. Izuku sighed. Good morning to you too. Before Bakugo could respond, the classroom door opened. A man wrapped in a yellow sleeping bag entered. The room fell silent. The man stood up slowly. I'm your homeroom teacher, Shoto Aizawa. His tired eyes scanned the class. Get outside. Everyone blinked. Now. Chapter 15, Quirk Assessment Test. The students quickly gathered on the athletic field. Aizawa explained the rules. No orientation. No welcoming ceremony. No speeches. The class collectively looked horrified. We're testing your abilities. Several students groaned. Bakugo grinned. Izuku was excited. Aizawa tossed him a softball. Midoriya. Yes, sir. Throw it. The teacher activated a measuring device. Use your quirk. The class watched closely. Izuku stepped onto the throwing circle. He took a deep breath. Wind surrounded his arm. Earth reinforced his footing. Lightning crackled across his fingers. The ball glowed with elemental energy. Then, he threw. Boom. A sonic boom erupted across the field. The ball vanished into the clouds. The measuring device displayed the result. 1,842 meters. Silence. Absolute silence. Even Aizawa raised an eyebrow. Interesting. Bakugo looked irritated. Very irritated. Which made Izuku smile. Chapter 16, Battle Trial. Several days later, the students arrived for combat training. This time another familiar face awaited them. All Might. I am here. The class exploded into excitement. Today's lesson. Hero versus villain combat. Students would fight in teams. And fate had a sense of humor. Because the teams were announced. Heroes, Izuku Midoriya and Achiko Uraraka. Villains, Katsuki Bakugo and Tenya Ida. The room immediately became tense. Bakugo smiled. A dangerous smile. Finally, a chance to prove himself. Chapter 17, Rival Clash. The battle began. Inside the training building, Bakugo searched aggressively. Explosions echoed through the hallways. He wasn't interested in strategy. He wanted Deku. Only Deku. Eventually he found him. Standing calmly at the end of a corridor. The two rivals stared at each other. Years of competition filled the silence. Then Bakugo attacked. Boom. The hallway exploded. Izuku dodged with a burst of wind. The battle erupted instantly. Fire met explosions. Stone walls blocked shockwaves. Ice formed barriers. Lightning flashed through the air. Neither gained an advantage. The fight intensified. Bakugo launched himself forward. Don't hold back. Izuku grinned. I wasn't planning to. Earth pillars burst from the floor. Bakugo destroyed them. Wind blasts followed. Explosions countered them. The building shook under their clash. Students watching through monitors sat speechless. Even All Might looked impressed. Chapter 18, The Seventh Element. As the fight continued, something strange happened. Izuku felt energy building inside him. Not fire. Not water. Not earth. Not air. Not ice. Not lightning. Something different. Something deeper. Ancient. Powerful. His vision blurred. The world slowed. For a split second, glowing green energy appeared around him. The floor beneath his feet cracked. A pulse of raw force erupted outward. Everyone nearby stumbled. Even Bakugo froze. What was that? Izuku didn't know. The power vanished immediately, but the feeling remained. A seventh element. Something hidden. Something waiting. And somewhere in the darkness, someone noticed. Chapter 19, Tempest's Interest. Far away, deep within an abandoned facility, Tempest watched recordings of the battle. Multiple screens displayed Izuku's performance. His fire, his lightning, his ice, his wind. Then the footage reached the mysterious pulse. Tempest paused it. His silver eyes widened. No, the villain stood. Impossible. Everyone else in the room looked confused. Tempest stared at the frozen image. He's awakening it. One subordinate stepped forward. Awakening what? Tempest's expression became serious. The primordial element. Silence filled the room. The source from which all elements originated. Even Tempest seemed disturbed. If Midoriya masters that power, his voice lowered. He may surpass every elemental user in history. For the first time, the villain viewed Izuku not as a curiosity, but as a genuine threat. Chapter 20, A Hero's Resolve. That night, Izuku sat alone on his apartment balcony. The city lights sparkled beneath the stars. His thoughts kept returning to the strange energy. What was it? Where had it come from? Why had it appeared? Questions without answers. Yet despite the uncertainty, one thing remained clear. He wanted to become a hero. Not because of power, not because of fame, but because people needed saving. Just like the civilians during the sludge villain incident. Just like Achiko during the entrance exam. Just like countless others. The stronger he became, the more people he could protect. Izuku looked toward the night sky. His fists tightened. I'll master this power. The wind around him gently stirred. A small flame flickered in his palm. Water floated beside it. Lightning danced across his fingertips. Earth rose from the ground. Ice crystals sparkled beneath the moonlight. 6 elements. And somewhere within them, a 7th waited to be discovered. The journey had only begun. End of part 1. Let me know what you all think. Please like and subscribe for more.